Hello and welcome to the Last Word on Spurs. We do hope you're keeping very, very safe and well. Thank you so much for joining us. Oh, where does this show actually even go now? Joe, I actually don't know where the show even goes. We are here providing you with instant reaction to Tottenham Hotspur getting a point at Goodison Park. I tell you, that game went on for any longer. I'm not sure if Tottenham ended up with a point. They were so far camped in their own half. I mean, what are we watching? What are we seeing? What are we doing to ourselves on Last Word on Spurs? Thank you so much for joining us. Really, really appreciate it as always. We're joined by the wonderful Richard Cracknell, Darren Hartman, Jace and McGovern as we bring you instant reaction to what we've just witnessed over 96 and a bit minutes. Before we do get into the show, you know what it is. Sorry, it's housekeeping we have to do here on Last Word on Spurs. We are delighted to be sponsored by the Beavertown Corner Pin. That, of course, is the Beavertown bang opposite our South Stand. I keep on making this awful joke that we're hopefully going to be bringing you some form of a Last Word on Spurs end of season party. I think for our own sakes, we can't call it a party. Maybe just call it an event, a wake, potentially. Some kind of seance as to what this football club is doing to us right now. But as always, go check Beavertown out. I think the way they're going at the moment, they're running out of beer with what this football club is doing to us right now. So as always, thank you for your support. And I think we will get somehow this next therapy session underway. Richard Cracknell, Darren Hartman, Jason McGovern. The couch is free. The boys are going to step on. Jace, Tottenham Hotspur, how do they make it impossible to actually enjoy anything of this football club?
I would all do yourselves a favour tonight. I would play back Antonio's conference at Southampton and really ask yourselves, tell me what he said wrong. You know, the words stinging in those players' ears. They've since lost a manager, so go and show him wrong. Go and show him wrong. Tell us, you got the chance to go third tonight, play under a little bit of pressure. We go for the fourth away game running to a team in the bottom. Today it's in the bottom three, but all four of our last away games against teams in the bottom six. We've taken the lead in 3 of those games and we get 2 points. We're playing against 10 men tonight. 10 men. We go 1-0 up and our football was horrific in the second half. You think, go and get the second, go and get the third, nothing. We spent more time knocking it around side to side in our own penalty area, inviting pressure on. Hugo with a kick in and that. You could just, everyone can see it coming. Everyone can see it coming. And then you think, you know, Lucas Moura comes on and gets himself sent off within, 4 minutes. I mean, it's brainless, it's gutless. There is a real weakness there, and you can blame tactics as much as you want, but those players have to take responsibility for 4 successive, gutless, spineless performances where they have capitulated each time. And I don't care about the tactics. It's up there. You needed leadership on that pitch. There was none. Absolutely none whatsoever from any single player. And we all knew it was happening. The bench knows it's happening. The players knows it's happening. And nobody does anything about it. And I'm sick of managers and chairmen taking the flak for this bunch of gutless players. I'm sick of them.
You know what's interesting, Jace? I mean, many will have different narratives as to where the blame lies for tonight. And you know what? I'll bring Cracks in and we'll go to Darren because, you know, that point was really anything less than Everton deserved, we're being honest with you, Cracks. I mean, it was more the same from Tottenham. We had no control against 10 men. We almost shrunk ourselves in those final 10, 15 minutes where there was such a lack of creativity. And I have to ask this question because I know Jason is leveling this at the players. Please tell me why we did pay off a manager or sack a manager just to appoint his mirror image of an assistant that is playing the exact same brand of football. And he was actually asked a question on Friday about the style, and he totally disagreed that there was a problem with it. So should we have expected any different tonight? You know, I have to read you this before you come in here, Cracks. That final 20 minutes from Tottenham, you know, we've gone through a lot as fans. And when I read this, we had 20% possession in the final 20 minutes after taking the lead. Everton had 10 men. Everton are in a relegation battle. What is going on here?
Right. Rick, I make Jace totally right. At some stage, these players have to take some accountability, some responsibility, some personal and professional pride, and step up and be brave. But within that as well, I think they're just a reflection of where we are as a club. They really are. We seem to be gutless, leaderless, and spineless at the very top. We can't get a manager in the dugout long enough to be able to impose his own views and his own team. And the players are just a reflection of that. Now, someone somewhere at that club has to step up and go, okay, I'll be the sheriff of this Wild West. And this is how things are going to be. And at the moment, they're just a reflection of where we are, all over the place. No bravery. I just can't make Jace wrong. Tonight, it was just awful. Absolutely awful. If you didn't know, you would have thought Conte was still in that dugout this evening. Honestly, Jace, it looked like Conte's football yet again. But I'm not blaming Conte as such. These players have to take a huge, huge responsibility of this, a great big chunk of this shit sandwich that needs biting down on and has been served up. They really do. But it's an amalgamation of everything at the club. It's just in a terrible, terrible spot at the moment. It's easily fixed for me, and I'll die on that hill. And I'm going to say that you bring Pochettino back, that you just bring somebody back that might just pull everything back together again, get the fans back on side, give the players a new voice, some fresh coaching. Because this week on the training pitch, I can't see what would have been different out there. Because Conte, how much of the coaching does he really get involved in? All right, the club puts up pictures of him out on the pitch. I bet he's out there for, like, when he was there, for 10, 15 minutes, and the coaches just crack on with it normally, day to day. And that would have been no different this week. There's no different voice. There needs to be somebody coming in and some tough decisions made as well. I'd like this evening, Lloris hasn't had a bad game, but Forster had looked so assured. He'd looked so good. The back four looked good with him, behind them. And all of a sudden, poof, he's out the door. And Lloris is back in. And that don't sit well with me. I know he's club captain, but if a player's not letting you down, you don't drop them. And it was the same in the Champions League final, really, to be honest. I mean, and that was Pochettino. Soon as Kane was back, he was back in. I don't know. There's just, that don't sit right with me. It just, honestly, I've just think the whole lot needs a clean out, Rick. The whole lot, root and branch.
Yeah, there's so much to unpack. Dal, I want to get you in just to get your initial thoughts on the game. Spurs start in the post-Conte era in exactly the same way we ended the Conte era, by throwing away 3 points, conceding a very, very late equaliser. I mean, whatever you say about Spurs, how poor they were on the night in terms of the way they moved the ball, as Jason reflected on, got to be seeing that game out. They're an extra man for a long period of that game. We're playing against an Everton side that are in a relegation battle. And once again, we failed to see out a game. And I feel like even embarrassing right now to even talk about top four. Because when you look at the brand of football, even the way we're playing, we are a million miles away from even thinking about being back in the Champions League. You play that in the Champions League, you get embarrassed. I even think Europa or Conference League, it is laughable the way we are playing football. And it does bring home a lot about what is happening right now behind the scenes of that club. Because everything that we can see, there's such a mess behind it, Dal, and it's now spilling out onto the pitch. The players don't know what they're doing. Do they, Dal, to some degree?
It's embarrassing. It is embarrassing. And Jace hit the nail on the head, Cracks hit the nail on the head. And what you're feeling is exactly right, Rick. It's a joke right now. It's shambolic. And you asked a question about Conte not being there. Were we expecting anything different? Of course we weren't. We knew this is what we was going to get. And as I said to you guys before, it's because the board did not sack Conte because of the football. That was not why they sacked him. They sacked him because he spoke out in a way that they then couldn't manage him to keep him quiet. He had had enough. And what he said pushed them to a point where they're like, can we see it out? No, we can't. We have to do something. So they kept his number 2 because the football stayed the same. Nothing changed. Crack's exactly right. The videos, everything we saw would have been exactly the same. And what we got today was exactly the same. And that's where the heads now have to start turning different ways. We can't keep looking at the dugout and going, Conte's fault, Conte's football. This now where the players really have to start owning it, because I know we're going to be delving into what our new manager said, his opinion on the game. And it's shocking because it's what the players produce. We're fans, we're watching it. Where our eyes are the same as his. We're all humans, we can see. We all sat there, every Spurs fan screamed at the screen going, push forward. Why are you dropping so deep? Why are you doing this? Why are you inviting the pressure? Push on, push on. No, we didn't. We invited the pressure and we're not good at that. Our back three are not good with the ball. Passing, doing the triangles, we invite pressure and we make our own messes. And that's what we did again tonight. And it's sad to see. My word for this is just embarrassing. It's an embarrassment. And right now, I know we spoke about top 4. And it's a joke to even think that we're in a position to capitalise on top 4. Yeah. But it is because the season has been a mess for everybody. Look how Liverpool played at the weekend. Look at the results that are happening. It's a whole joke this season right now in terms of consistency. And right now, Spurs, we're an embarrassment. We are an embarrassment from top right to bottom.
I've got to get, Jason, your reaction to Christian Senior, who's just spoken to Sky Sports. We are obviously going to come on to the main presser, which Stellini will be doing shortly. And again, I have to just remind viewers and listeners that do listen back to us on their morning commute that we do the show live, and therefore we aren't privy to all of the reaction straight away from the Spurs, well, I would say press, in terms of Stellini and talking to them straight away. But he's been speaking to Sky, and he was asked by the journalist of Sky, after taking the lead, did you sit back and give them too much possession? Stellini's response, no. We tried to press them and not give them much possession. But if you do this, they do a long ball and win the second ball. You control the game with the ball, not without. Is he serious? I mean, I know you've labelled a lot of the players here, Jace, but that is the manager of this football club for the next 9 games. You're not going to tell me we've got to be put through that reaction for another 9 games, are we?
I haven't seen that interview, so that's the first time I've heard those words. Well, I don't quite know how to react to that, mate. I just, I don't know where he's coming from. Yeah, I mean,
it's baffling, isn't it? It's baffling, Jace.
You control the game by having the ball, but you don't control the game by having the ball knocking it around your own 18-yard box, where every pass is at the wrong angle so that the person receiving it's immediately under pressure and things. You keep the ball in and around their box and suck them into making silly challenges at their end and killing the game in that way and picking your passes through them and having shots at goal. That's how you control it. I mean, dear, oh dear, oh dear. I'm lost with that one.
Yeah, lost. I mean, Cracks, he's sitting there in that, well, to Sky, comparing the situation that we're in tonight on the back of this game to last season. He says 1 year ago, we had 51 points. We were 5th. Today, we are 4th with the same points as Man United and Newcastle. I mean, come on. Oh. Are we deluded now? I mean, are you trying to delude us as fans? Come on, seriously.
That's the one thing that winds me up all the time, Rick, that they take the fans for fools. They think you're fools. The club's Twitter feed puts stuff out there with them. Oh, back in the gym, back working hard, and just the rubbish like that all the time. Just stop taking people for fools. I mean, you look at Newcastle yesterday. He's talking about being on the same points as Newcastle. This is a man now who's managing Spurs at the moment, and he's comparing us with Newcastle. Did you see them play yesterday and watch us play today? It's absolute day and night, Rick. Day and night.
You go to Newcastle and play that, you're coming away with a 4-0.
Yeah, exactly. It is day and night. The direction of travel at the moment is absolutely horrendous. I don't know how we're there, Rick. I think it's only because there's some other basket case clubs and form going on. But, you know, this is at clubs which seems to be getting addressed and addressed quickly. You know, it's with Klopp this season. Okay, they're having a transition, but he's earned the right to have a go. Chelsea at the moment are all over the place. Ten Hag with Man U, they're a bit up and down, but you can see a direction of travel. Ten Hag will eventually stamp his authority on that team and get the players that he wants and go again. So with Chelsea, we're just floundering. We are just floundering. 500 days without signing a player. I mean, how many days did we go after Jose went and didn't have a manager? Was it 42 days or something? 72 days. It's going to be the same this time. You know, there's just no plan B anywhere. No, nothing. It's just rudderless.
Not even a plan A.
I was about to say, there's no plan A.
Yeah, not even a plan A, let alone the plan B. Rick, I just want this season done. I just want this season done. And somebody, please, within that club, the chairman, the board, have got to find a manager with a style and stick with it. Have a plan and just go with it and be brave. And whoever he wants to get rid of out of that team, you have to back it. You have to absolutely back it. And I tell you what, that actually includes Harry Kane. That includes everybody. And for the greater good of that team, that has to include Kane. If he doesn't want to be here, but there's this, we can keep him another year and he wants to go. Nobody can be bigger than the plan coming in. It's as simple as that. But the problem is, Rick, they're just not picking one. They're just at the moment. It's purgatory, isn't it? Absolute purgatory, and you can't sit in it.
You've got to say, to some degree, it is fraudulent to ask fans to go to games when you have appointed a manager who's in the same makeup as the one that you've let go. And if he has been let go for his comments now, I have to ask you this one, where what Conte said, and Jason put this in his intro really to him. Jason mentioned this. He said, Conte, they're used to it here. They don't want to play under pressure. They don't want to play under stress. I mean, that is exactly the indictment when you watch that final 20 minutes. If that's not Spurs in a nutshell, then what is? I mean, so you have to ask, if Conte's been sacked, is it probably that it's got in on the players? Because what he said word for word is exactly what Spurs are, aren't they?
Yeah, as I said, boys, Conte never got sacked for what he was doing on the pitch. He got sacked because he ruffled too many feathers and he upset everybody because he had enough of the situation he was in. And to talk about the teams we've played against, Jace made a good point, like the teams we've played. Everyone has beat us with passion. Everyone has beat us with a game plan. Everyone has shown up. We've not shown up, and that's the frustrating thing from the players' perspective. They get on the pitch and you watch them. There's no drive, there's no urgency, there's no leaders. And that, for me, is so important on a football pitch. Who are your leaders? You watched Everton and you saw all their leaders stepping into the game. You saw Keane, Tarkowski, you saw Iwobi, you saw him leading, you saw players taking the game to us. You saw a manager who knew his players were playing for him. They were all there. Then the fans got behind the system because they could all see the vision that Everton were going for. You watch us and nobody has a Scooby-Doo. Nobody. There's no leader on that football pitch. There's no leader in the dugout. And there's definitely not a leader in our boardroom. And that is the problem. From head to toe, the leadership, the direction, the inspiration, the drive, the focal point, nothing is there. So right now, we're in a real horrible situation because let the season end. I'll be very happy with that. Let it end. But for me, I'm looking at our bigger picture. What do we want? What is the thing that our leaders want? Levy, our chairmen, our board, what do they want? Because as quite rightly pointed out, we're going to go days now without appointing a manager when there's so many available. If you had a vision, there are so many options. There are so many different options. But right now, they ain't got a clue what they want. And that's a sad state of affairs. And the fact to say that they're taking advantage of us, it is fraudulent. It is, because We pay our money. We support our club. We're the ones who go to work tomorrow. We're taking the banter of the abuse. We're the ones who have to put a brave face on it. We have to keep going again. And you know what? It's really funny because I feel like doing a post ourselves, all of us together going, here we go again. Off we go again.
Well,
we have to keep going again. Not them, it's us.
Yep, I agree. Look, I agree massively. I mean, again, you look at tonight, that's an Everton side. And I feel like a broken record saying this because I just sometimes, even as Spurs fans, I have to question logic. We're playing 10 men, 18th place Everton, with everyone behind the ball instead of going for the kill. And we're doing the same thing we did against Southampton. I mean, there's just no quality. The mentality is way off. The substitutions didn't work. We'll have to come on to them. But the biggest concern of all is that we just look like we've got absolutely no idea what we're doing. We honestly have no idea what we're doing as players. And Stellini's just come out in his post-match press conference, Jace, to bring you in. He says, you need players to respect the plan, adding that things won't change overnight. What was the bloody point of this? Please tell me, what was the point in appointing this man for the last 10 games? What are we gaining out of this? I know Paratigi's now been banned worldwide, but you mean to tell me we did have a better option, Jace, for the last 10 games? Anybody? What is the purpose of this? I just don't get it.
I don't know. I suppose you can't.
Jace, I've been doing this show with you for 8 years, 7 years. I've never seen you lost for words like this.
We are, Rick. We are all lost for words.
You couldn't appoint a bloke from outside for 10 games if he's not going to be who you want in the summer. In a weird way, I understand that. But let's be honest. We all knew, in fact, I'm sure pretty much everyone at the club knew that Conte was leaving in January. So they've actually had 3 months already to identify who they want. They have. They've had 3 months. Now, okay, I give them a slight thing that it may be that, let's say, I don't know, they want a bloke from, could be from Wolves, could be from Leeds, could be from bloody Partick Thistle or whatever. I mean, I don't care who they want.
Oh, the last one we got from Wolves went well, didn't it?
No, but I mean, it may well be the bloke says...
Going to make you proud.
I need to finish the job here and then I'll do it. Because I think with Pochettino, I think they knew they wanted Pochettino. And I think originally he himself said, I'll do it, but I'm here at Southampton. We talk about it at the end of the season. So I kind of understand that you can't just click your finger with 8 games. Maybe if there's 20 games to go, it's a slightly different thing. But that perhaps shows you that we should have parted ways with Conte in January rather than leaving it to this stage. So I kind of understand why they're in the mess right at this stage, but it's of their own making. They've made the mess as a club of it, and you're now going to pay the price. Absolutely going to pay the price.
We are paying it. We're paying it game by game,
match by
match, second by second.
I know you can't ever count results, but you thought there's your chance to put some distance. And now I look at us. Whereas tonight I thought if we win here, we have a decent chance of getting top 4. Now I think it's gone, and therefore his Champions League money's gone. I think it gets harder and harder to get to the next stage, doesn't it?
If I can add on that, tonight was an opportunity to see a difference in what we were going to do in comparison to Conte. And not only have we copied the exact same blueprint, but if anything, it leaves me even more confused, if I wasn't confused already, about what is now to come for these final 9 games. I know many are going to be counting the games down. And Cracks, just to bring you in here, Stellini has gone further in that press conference and said, we didn't need the game with the ball after the red card. We had the chance to control the game better than we did. You have to move the ball side to side. Sometimes we rushed, we were frantic. We need to improve in this aspect. It's a long process and we don't improve one night. And I will ask the question, Cracks, what process? He's at the club for a maximum 9 more games. So please tell me, when he's referring to this word process, he's not even here in the summer. So why not have a go? Why not have a go?
We need to move the ball side to side. How many teams have you ever seen score moving a ball side to side? unless you're playing that bar football in the pub with your mates, that's the only way you're scoring goals, moving players side to side. And that is it. That's nonsense. That's crap. We need to move the ball side to side. I want a manager that's talking about getting your head up and getting forward. Seriously, Rick, these last 10 games, I promise you, absolutely promise you, that both Glenn Hoddle and Harry Redknapp would walk over broken glass to have taken them last 10 games. They would have both done it. I've got to know both of them from doing the nights. Both of those men would have taken them last 10 games and had a bit of a go. And I'll tell you what, people have laughed at that idea. Tell me it wouldn't have been better than this. Tell me it wouldn't be better. Because I watched last night at Palace, or at the weekend, sorry, I watched Palace with Roy Hodgson back, the same age, the same age as Harry Redknapp. And do you know what? I saw a better team. I saw a team that actually would try to be progressive, that went front to back, not side to side, and went to try and win and control a game. And I'm telling you, both of those men, not long-term answers, but would have given you those final 10 games for you then to bring in whoever it is in the summer. But with 60,000 people paying the highest prices in world football, you should be going out and getting your man. If that is that last 10 games and it's, I want to see it out of the club, you make offers, you pay compensation, you do whatever is needed to get that man in. And if you really, really can't do that, then you've got to do something other than mini-me Conte that we've currently got at the moment. It's pathetic. It's disgusting, Rick.
Dale, just to bring you in, I have to ask the question: is this in any way remotely going to get better, Dale, in these next 9 games? Are we? Because I just think, can I just say, for all of our sakes for doing this show, there's got to be something we're going to hold on to here, because we've just done a carbon copy of the week before, and we've changed the manager, but we've kept the same blueprint. I mean, he's talking about it being a process. He's not going to be here in 9 games. What are we? Tell me. Just ask me the question, Dale. You're the most positive man I know. I love having your last one on Spurs. What is this achieving? What is this achieving?
I'm going to go one question back and then get to that one. What are we holding on to? We're holding on to each other. That's what we're holding on to. For the next 9 games, we are holding on to each other. That's what we're doing.
I'll give you a hug, Des.
Exactly. I'm coming around. I'm hugging everybody.
Hug a friend.
Yep. In the DMs, I'm hugging you all, because that's what we're going to do for 9 games. We're hugging each other. Because what are we getting out of this? And what is the process? What are they trying to do? This is a shambles. It's a shambles, because, as I said to you, nothing's going to change football-wise, because clearly he just held on to Conte's book and he's reading the quotes that Conte would say, and it's the same. The training methods are the same. The players' mentality is the same. Nothing is going to change, because the board haven't asked for it to change. They had no issue with that. And that is why we're in a mess. We're in an absolute mess, because they're seeing what we're seeing. This season is so scattered. There's no consistency. There's no form. They're hoping we scrape top 4 for the money. Right now, the only way our chairman, our board are going to understand what we're feeling is that we don't get top 4. Then they're going to go, oh no, we have a problem. Because now they haven't got the money they were accounting for to make everything work. The money that's probably already spent on building property elsewhere. Now they ain't got it. When they ain't got it, they've got to realise what we've been saying for ages. If the football on the pitch ain't working, no one's investing in this. We should be investing on the pitch to make that be our selling point. That's why there's no naming rights for our club yet. That's why our stadium hasn't got naming rights, because you don't want to name a stadium for a team that isn't playing the football you want to be buying into. They're just waiting for the money. All of this now, the only way our chairman is going to feel what we're feeling is the pocket. So these 9 games now, I hope that the football doesn't get any worse than it can do, and hope it stays like this. But right now, top 4 could get in 5th or 6th or even 7th. may be the thing that brings the change that we all asked for. Because suddenly our board have to react. Right now, they're far too passive. They're sitting on their hands. They're punishing all of us. We're all suffering. They're hoping that the books are going to balance out at the end of the season. Forget the books. We want football.
I think you're spot on. I mean, again, we've seen Chelsea dispense of Graham Potter earlier this week. Will they leave it 9 games to appoint a manager? I don't know about that. You know, Julian Nagelsmann is out there. It's one name being mentioned.
They've already appointed their manager. You know how big boys do business. Big boys do business properly. We've had the opportunity to get all the managers that have been available, but we won't. Chelsea will go and do business because they're business. Look at how they did their signings. 600 million, they just go and do it. We're not going to do that. We're passive. Too passive, Rick.
Jordan on the screen here says he's probably on for Jason. Ricky just converted us to a last word on Love Island show for the next few months, season rewatches and recaps. I think that might actually kill off Jason, who's been trying to turn us into a golf podcast, but he might do exactly what he might want to do with this show the way it's going. What we are going to do, we are going to go for our first break of the show for our listeners on audio. For those that are listening on audio, I'm hoping this won't kill you off. You're going to hear from Christian Stellini. He will give you his... You are going to hear from Christian Stellini. He's going to give you his full reaction to that 1-1 draw at Goodison Park against Everton. For our watching audience here, we've got over 1,700 of you watching us live that are taking in the therapy. Can I just say, what an effort on the back of having to watch that utter dross for over an hour and a half, then to come and listen to us here for God knows how long about this game. I don't know if that says much about us or if it says much about the team, but thank you so much. I don't know where this show is going, but again, thank you so much for all of your incredible support. It wouldn't not be right just to give a flavour of some of the fans' opinions. We had over 96 questions that come in, more statements, I would say, than questions, probably a lot of them rant. So what I am going to do is, for the sake of the watching audience here, so they haven't got to see me bearing down on my phone, it might actually be worse. I've got to show you the stats from today so you can check those out. And I'm going to read you some of the statements that we've had in. Steno Spurs says, I have a question, Ricky. This day in 2019, we opened the best stadium in Europe and the furniture looks like it was picked up at the local tip. Why should fans have to put up with this? James Land says, imagine just how bad we would be without the new manager Pounce. Nicky, Highland Spurs says, let's be honest, Everton deserved all 3 points in this game. The difference in intensity after the penalty from Spurs is exactly the problem. We no longer go for the kill. We sit back and hope for a mistake. Sanchez on at left centre-back against 10. We no longer have Tadaris to do. We sit and we hope. Nick Cook says, where does any hope come from? That's all we need as fans. The hope that our club will make us proud and play their hearts out for us to see. I see no hope at all at this club. It's a shell of a thing that I'm rapidly falling out of love with. Adrian Croft says, I can't wait for next season. Okay, maybe it was right to get rid of the rigid Antonio Conte, but what's the point of having the same team and the same formation? What has changed exactly? And I've got to be honest and say that that's, 4 or 5 of 96 statements that we've had in tonight. I would love to read them all out. We would be here till 1 o'clock in the morning past, and I think we would kill off the audience. But as I always say, please feel free to bring in and sending all your listener statements to us. We'll try and read out a flavour on Last Word on Spurs. Naturally, on a night like this, you can imagine a turnaround for the show and then the questions. But again, thank you so much for all of your incredible support. As we await even further reaction from Christian Stellini, I think the more I bring Stellini's comments into here, the more anger and frustration I can feel across the board from Jason McGovern, Richard Cracknell, and the brilliant British actor Darren Hartman joining us here on Last Word on Spurs. Boys, I'll be honest with you, for our own mental health, we're not going to go through the game. But I do just want to pick out, again, just the team from tonight, because I think many of us would have sat there and thought, well, are things generally changing? I mean, Jace will come over to you. We made 3 changes for the game, obviously, against the Southampton draw, as we remained with a 3-4-3. It's like Conte was still here. We obviously knew injuries hit the squad hard. We've got Bentancur out, Basuma out, Sessegnon out, and obviously we've had Emerson Royale, Richarlison and Ben Davis joining the treatment room during the break. You might argue that these players just might not want to play at the moment, given what they're having to try and sustain as some kind of football. I know you're levelling it at the players, Jace. Lloris was back in goal. It was his first appearance since February the 5th. Perisic did take a knock midweek, but he was confirmed fit, and Kulusevski came in for the injured Richarlison. And due to the sheer volume of injuries, as Ali Gold reported, we had Alfie Devine and Remain Mundle both on the bench. So they also making the first team full squad now. So it was a bit of a bench like back in the last season. 3 academy goalkeepers. Oh, should I say 2 goalkeepers, 3 academy players? That team winning Lloris, Romero, Dyer, Longley, Porro, Skip, Højbjerg, Perisic, Kulusevski, Kane, Son. The bench of Forster, Austin, Sanchez, Tanganga, Sarr, Devine, Mundle, Danjuma, Lucas. Danjuma must be wondering what is the point. He must feel almost. You can't even call him a competition winner. He's not even had points to even or play to even be a competition winner. But that team, Jace, quite honestly, mean anything to you? Anything different when you saw that team?
I can honestly say it was a team I expected. We brought our captain back to make sure that we weren't, we'd find playing out from the back even more difficult because, shanking clearances and just kicking it anywhere. But, the one thing you'd expect to be doing by bringing your captain back is to bring some leadership onto the pitch. Nothing, was there? No sign of any leadership from him. Surely he could be barking. We saw the same types of mistakes that we see every week. There was no change. But like I say, some of it without a doubt is tactics and game plan and that. But I'm not letting these players get away with it anymore. It's inexcusable. What was Conte kept saying? It's unacceptable. I think that was it, and so that's what it was. It was unacceptable, totally unacceptable.
Yeah, it was. I mean, Joe, if I wasn't so depressed, I would be laughing at your impersonation there. But such is the nature of what this club is doing to us. I really genuinely don't know where to go next. I mean, Cracks. One thing that we did see from our loyal, amazing, wonderful away fans was chants as soon as that game got going. Daniel Levy get out of our club, followed by his magic, Maurizio Pochettino. I do ask you this question, Cracks, in all honesty. I probably know what you're going to say to me. What do the board think, feel, if anything, when they're hearing those 2 chants?
Nothing, Rick. Absolutely nothing. Tone deaf. Don't care. The money's still coming in, and that's all that matters. That is all that matters with them. As long as those tills are ringing, then they don't care. You can say what you like, shout what you like. They will not care until people vote with their pockets and their feet. Then things will change. Until then, honestly, they got the hide of a rhino. Them people. They will not care. It's water off a duck's back. So look, anger is growing, discontent's growing, more and more. There's people out there. You got Change for Tottenham, a group that started now that's gathering some momentum, and that will only continue to grow whilst nobody is putting their foot on the ball, and this vacuum continues. We've heard nothing from the board. When Conte went, there was a short statement. When Paratici went, a short statement. And other than that, no visibility, no accountability from them. It's one of those things, Rick. It's, like I said, my personal choice would be to bring Pochettino back. I said on the show with Tim Vickery, I think we need more than a football manager at the moment. I think we need somebody to bring everybody together to try and heal this club. If tomorrow morning they appointed him and Daniel Levy came out publicly and said, this hasn't been good enough, we haven't been good enough, we've appointed Maurizio, we're going to attempt to try and make things better. Like I said a couple of years ago, I want Tottenham to have their DNA back. Come Saturday, the roof's coming off that place. I'm telling you, the roof will come off that place. It just needs a little bit of humility from them and somebody to bind us together. And then we'll see something a bit better. But that's not to disparage Jason's point, that there's a hell of a lot of players in there that need to take that accountability still, need to go, have to go. They're just not good enough. They don't care enough. They don't want it enough. But let something be the start of the comeback of that ball showing a bit of humility and appointing somebody to try and bring everybody together. But Rick, that's not happening. That's fantasy land. It really is, because they'll just get to Saturday night and they'll look at the balance sheets and they'll see that they've sold X amount of beers and X amount of pizzas and X amount of shirts in the shop, and they'll go, lovely, thanks very much. That's another successful day business. Don't forget the result. That's what they'll look at. They'll just be looking at the balance sheets, not the score sheets.
Now, if I can bring you in, that first half, I'm not going to put us through even discussing it, apart from the actual stats of it. The first half by numbers, zero goals. Jason's favourite, 0.38 XG. This, you would think, is the new manager bounce. 0.38 XG. One attempt on target. 65% possession. This isn't Everton. Can I just remind everybody, hello, Everton are 18th in the Premier League in a relegation battle. What? I'm even lost for words. I don't know what to say.
And before anyone trots out that it's a tough place to go.
Oh, please.
We haven't lost there since they had David Moyes as manager. That's how tough a place to go it is for us.
Yeah.
We've played there 31 times and lost 5. So don't tell me it's a tough place to go either.
And to jump on the back of that, what you put out, Rick, it was really interesting, your video about today's pod, and just looking at the way the team played in that video, the flair, the movement, the passing, the vision, the idea. It just brought back memories of the football that we've missed, and the idea of how we expect our team to play. And that's why it's so frustrating right now, because we're watching this, and you watch that first half, and there was no improvement. There was no change. And if we're honest, most of us expected what we got in that first half. We weren't expecting anything different. We hoped for more, but we expected what we got. And that's the sad state of affairs. And that's the reality of it all. That is the reality we're in. And I hear you, Cracks, looking for Pochettino to come back, and the transparency from the board and that honesty. And you're right, we're never going to get it, but we would love it. That's the ideal world. And like I said, Rick, when I was on before and we got asked about managers, I said, we're about to go in the circus. It's about to happen. All that managers are going to get sacked. And I said, we'll end up with Potter. And people were like, what? And I was like, look this weekend. Now they've all been fired. It's because we're not clear in what we want. And because we're not clear, we'll end up just waiting. We'll wait for other people to make their move. Wait for Chelsea to make their move. We'll wait for Madrid at the end of the season to sack their manager and wait for the move. And that is what we do on the football pitch. We're not going out on the pitch going, this is what we're going to do. But wait and see what everyone else is going to do. What are Everton going to bring to the game before we decide what we bring? It doesn't make sense. It's a weird mentality. And part of that is due to what the tactics, but a lot of that is down to the mentality of the players. And there's so much of it, DNA, structure, system, that if we're going to fix it, there needs to be mass meetings now that are taking place to fix it. But as Crack says, I think they're more interested in the till roll than they are about what's happening with the managerial situation. It's sad. It's sad. It's really sad.
You know what? There's Everton fans in here that are telling us that we've only scored 12 goals this season. There's Everton fans telling us their own predicament, their own shortcomings. 12 goals they've scored this season.
And they could have had 3 or 4 today. In that last 5 minutes, they looked like the team to score.
Now, if that game was going on 5 or 10 minutes more longer, Everton were going to win that. No doubt Everton were going to win that. Yeah. They were. Jace, this will cheer you up. Stellini actually said, can I just say, Stellini actually said in his press conference afterwards, it is a tough place to come.
Oh,
he might not know the record, but
give over, please.
We've got 9 more games of this. 9 more games of this. Honestly, it's torture, isn't it? It's torture. Is it not torture?
It's not a difficult place to go. They've won 6 games all season. They've won 6 games. How is it a difficult place to go? It's not.
I do. Well, I say do fear of what's coming next. We've got 9 more games, Cracks, of this maybe to come. I mean, surely not. Surely someone has to do something. Surely we have to do something. Make some form of a change, right? Because I listen. What I will say is that for those that are out there, I know not everybody is comfortable in protesting, and I get that, and I understand that. but there are other ways in which you can vote with your feet.
Mm-hmm.
Literally.
Yeah. Go to the game, support the team. Don't buy anything in the concessions. Don't go into the club shop. It can be done. Make your feelings known before the game. Game kicks off. Get behind the team. Half time. Make your feelings known again. Get behind the team second half. End of the second half. Don't leave the stadium. Stay in there. Protest.
Can I ask you,
your
Crack,
say?
can I
Embarrass
ask you,
them.
based on that tonight, do you expect Christian Stellini to still, and this is obviously a balmy question for me to ask you this, bearing in mind he's just been given the bloody acting manager role, acting head coach role. Do you see him seeing out the 9 games on that basis? You do?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I don't think they've got a clue how to fix it at the moment. They've got no clue. He will be there for the last 9 games. I will be amazed if they appoint anybody now and they just muddle through these last 9 games. It's as simple as that. It shouldn't be that way, but that's what they'll do, Rick. That's what they do. That's what they are. That's who they are. Because as I keep saying, it's the balance sheets. We're now at ground zero of all this, and everybody has a choice. You either keep going and keep feeding the money and everything and putting up with it, or you make a principled stand and you don't spend your money, or you don't go, or you make your voice heard, whatever you're comfortable with doing. And like we've said to people in protest groups before, you can't force people to protest. Everybody will get to their point of where they've had enough. I've had enough, Rick. I kept calling for change and wanting things to be done differently. Now I want them gone. I'll say it again. I want Enoch to sell up and go. That's easier said than done, because you've got to find the next lunatic with 5 billion quid to come in. But there's a principle in calling for it and wanting for it. Even if it's not going to happen, you at least make a principled stand of calling for it. And this club has now they've created a monster that they can't now run. They can't run it. It's got too big for them. The expectations got too big. The stadium's too big. They're biting off more than they can chew with the entertainments and the circus going on around it. That's too big. They're too busy running with that. They need a commercial board and a football board now, but they're not doing it. They think they can run the whole lot. And all the time the money's rolling in, they'll be happy with it. That's their key motivation. So listen, people, make your stand. Whatever it is that you want to do, or when you've had enough, you have to make that stand. It will hurt. It will hurt you not to go and not to do these things, but that's the only way you're going to listen. They listen with their pockets, Rick, not their ears.
I mean, I know for some fans that are out there, the football club is their life. They go home and away. It's an escapism away from the day-to-day bearings of life. And
that's not their football club at the moment. It don't look nothing like Tottenham Hotspur. That's even from in the 90s when it was poor, you at least had some effort. At the moment, that just looks like an entertainment company. It's just a shell. And if you want to go football for the day, get down to your local non-league side or something, or go and see like a local team to go and get your fix. I know a lot of people go because they want to meet up with mates and have a drink, and the social side of it is a big part of it. Then, get together with your 6-7 pals that you go with and go elsewhere for the day. Go and watch like your local non-league side. Go and give them a couple of quid, not this mob. And then I'll tell you what, if one game this Saturday, everybody turned up and didn't spend a penny, you would see a change on Sunday morning. Sunday morning, something would be done. They would absolutely, pardon my French, shit themselves. They would shit themselves. And all of a sudden, they'd start finding money down the back of the sofa for this, that, and everything else. It would change overnight. absolutely overnight.
You know what, Dal? We said about tricky times as a football club. We find ourselves in a situation where we've got no men's manager, no women's manager. Director of football's been banned worldwide. Do you know, sometimes I have to pinch myself
Academy director's leaving.
What is going on? At what point? I mean, I know we haven't hit rock bottom in terms of being in a relegation battle, but it feels like it, doesn't it? You know, it's the most bizarre season where we're in that top 4 tonight. We could go third. And I know, again, there's teams that have got games in hand and whatever. And yet, in and around that, the whole club feels like it's falling apart and burning to the ground. That's what it feels like. And you know, I promise you, I am going to try and bring it back onto the game. Some might feel the game's irrelevant because I feel like a lot of what we do now is talking about off pitch rather than on pitch. We had a game today, and the game has definitely been overshadowed by the absolute mess that's currently going off it. But Dal, I mean, even tonight, I have to say to you, you know, we're struggling to even play out from the back since half time. We gave Everton possession 3 or 4 times, and Everton side that are, 18th in a relegation battle. I have to be honest and say at times, Dal, you would not know who the team is there that are battling to stay up. Would you, Dal, honestly?
Yeah, because it's about confidence, and it's about where the drive is and where the focal point is, and leaders on the pitch. And we should have been today a team that went out on that pitch going, we want to be in that top 4. We've got an opportunity, as I think Jace mentioned it right from the get-go. Our manager has just been fired. We've got a point to prove. He called us certain things when he left. We've got a point to prove. Let's go on the pitch and show what we're made of. Let's show the fans what we're made of. Let's show our character. Let's represent the badge. Let's go and perform for the badge. And none of that was present. And when you've got a team fighting relegation, they did all of that. They fought for the badge. They fought for each other as well. That's pivotal as well. On the pitch, I watch times when we do our little triangles out the back, and no one looks like they want it. No one looks like they know what they're going to do with it. Like, Son, we all love him. He's one of our own. We love him. We took him to our hearts. But the amount of times I'm watching him pick up the ball with his back to goal and then trying to spin it, I'm like, this ain't the Son we know. And this has now become his new way of playing. And this is something that is now in his game. But I watched him in the week. When he's playing for South Korea, suddenly he's a different man again. He's playing with a smile on his face again. He's doing the runs that we love. He's running on behind. And there's so much about our game right now that is sad to see. And yes, it is mad that we're talking about our team with so much anger and so much frustration when we're sitting right now 4th. We've got 50 points. We could be where West Ham are. We could be where Everton are. We could be where Southampton are. But you know what? I'm not going to worry about them because guess what? Thankfully, we're not. But where we want to be and what is being produced on the pitch is letting us down because there was a potential this year for so much more for us. There's a potential to really kick on and do so much, and we've not taken it. And right now, it's sad that all the fabric is falling apart. The wall, everything, it's all coming apart. And we need someone to put it back together. And it's funny, like, we're speaking about ENIC out right now. That seems to be where a lot of people are at. The scary thing about that is that Daniel Levy is saying that if the club gets sold, he's staying around. And for me, I go, but that's the big problem. Like, I don't know what ENIC do, but I see what Levy does, and what he does seems to be problematic because he's still involved. And we got Paratici. We go, what are you now? Can you work? Are you not working? There's so much that needs to be addressed, but it needs somebody to address it. And I think we're doing more addressing it here than I think our board is. That's scary. Someone's got to man up.
It's funny, isn't it? A lot of people maybe, again, I say this tongue in cheek and we're humbled by it. A lot of people look at us for a direction. And I'll be honest with you guys, we have got no more direction than what the club have, to be honest, to some degree. We're sitting here talking about it, and obviously we all want to find a solution, but we do need the club to step up. And we know the club listen. We know the club watch these shows. More has got to be done. We have called for some form of a change. We have called for some form of there being a difference. And quite frankly, to have, as we've said, those last 10 games, in essence, when you watch that game against Everton, we've wrote them off. We've written them off. If they genuinely thought Spurs had a chance at getting into the top 4, which is what the board want, not what all the fans want, I must add, because for me, the season died at Sheffield United. I'm going to be honest and say that for me, after those cup exits, I was mentally done. And Jason knows that by how much Forest upset me. So top 4 is not everything to me, but it is to the board. So for them to appoint Stellini and I think it's been put in the most politest way, almost we've got a man in Christian Stellini that essentially almost is putting the cones out for Conte, but nothing has really changed. And you do wonder, has anything changed? Nothing's changed. We've watched the 96 minutes that we could have watched under Antonio. He might have still been running it from wherever he was in Italy. He may well have been, because nothing had changed. Nothing whatsoever. We'll do the red cards together, because I want to come on to Harry Kane on a bigger piece. Jace, will come over to you. The Corey shown a straight red card for violent conduct, for striking him in the face. Probably one of the most easiest decisions the officials have ever had. Again, I understand it. Everton fans maybe didn't know why at the time, how bad the contact was. He was getting booed Kane after that, but it was a straight red card. But I have to ask you, Jace, about Lucas Moura's red card, because that looks like a guy that is very, very frustrated at his current predicament at the football club. He may wanted to have played more. He may wanted to have left the club in January. But when he came on, you have to ask, why is he coming on? Because Danjuma was bought in January. We know Conte named him a club signing.
Loaned in January.
Loaned in January. My mistake, loaned in January. But you would imagine that there's maybe a little bit of pressure being applied from above, that Danjuma should be getting minutes. He hasn't been. And then it was just a completely unnecessary lunge from Moura. I'm not sure what it was trying to achieve. It was a horrendous, deserved red cards, stud straight into the ankle. Both of them deserved red cards. Can you even make a case what Lucas Moura is trying to do there? What is he trying to achieve? Is that just frustration?
Frustration, maybe it's lack of minutes, so he gets here a fraction late. But no, I mean, straight red. As soon as he did it, I didn't need to see a replay. You just thought, less red. So both incidents, you didn't need to see a replay. I think Harry, if we're honest, Harry really milked his one. Got the old Unigate milk float out and milked it for all it's worth.
It's shithousery, but that's what you want
it's
as
still
our
a red.
player.
I mean, whether he milks it or not, it's still a red. And the silly thing from their point of view is that Kane had made the original foul, so they would have had the free kick. It's not. I mean, that's how daft Decore was. Kane would have made the foul. It was a free. I think Kane got booked for the original foul, and yet Decore lost his marbles and threw a punch. And the game was gifted to us on an absolute plate at that moment.
Awesome.
Gifted to us.
A gift.
And then they gift us a penalty. I mean, we got 2 Christmas presents from them. But, Tottenham, can't have this. Come on, boys, we'll give you one back. I mean, but as you say, Danjuma should have come on, but that still doesn't excuse what Lucas Moura does. And that old phrase, is not that type of player. I don't think I've ever seen Lucas Moura ever make a challenge like that. But yeah, I think he jumped for a ball and he didn't quite reach it, and he just chased it like a dog goes after a bone and lunged in. But it was a horrific foul and definite red card. And it ends up costing us massively, because 90 seconds later, we're sitting there at 1-1.
Yeah.
But it doesn't, I don't want to scapegoat him too much, because it still doesn't excuse the fact that from the moment Kane slots a penalty in until the 89th minute, we do absolutely nothing to go and get a second goal. And therefore, you create a scenario where one thing goes wrong for you and you'll pay the price. And that's exactly what we did. So it's still of our own making. And so don't moan too much at Moura, and bringing Davinson Sanchez on and giving him to play on the left. I mean,
beggars belief. But this is what I mean. Again, I said it at the start of the show, and I have to then reiterate it for those that have maybe started listening now, or for those that might not have caught it at the start of the show. Spurs had 20% possession in the final 20 minutes after taking the lead.
10 men.
10 men. Everton have scored 12 goals this season, bottom 3 in a relegation battle. Unacceptable. Unacceptable on every single level of football. Honestly, it is. Cracks, you know what? Stellini, I have to go back to him. Jason's kind of mentioned a couple of points there.
Do we have to?
But the game management and the bizarre substitutions, you're telling me, right, we're going to stick with this guy for another 9 games? Mm-hmm. Are you actually serious?
Yeah, they'll stick with that.
We've seen Davinson Sanchez coming on left centre half.
Yeah.
Danjuma can't get a start, and we've got 9 more games of this.
Yeah. That's what we've got, Rick. It's no good trying to sugarcoat it. This is what we are going to get, and we're going to see Conte Mark II with Stellini. Nothing has changed. Nothing changes, Rick. Nothing. And do you know what? Nothing changes at the club until everything changes. I'd love to see just one of the players bring up a mutiny, like a mutiny. I'd love to see a mutiny from the players and go, we're not going to listen to this lot anymore. We're going to go out there and play the way we want to play. Go out there and just play the way we want to play now. They
don't listen to anyone.
Honestly. But I think Jace is right. I don't even know if there's anybody in that team capable of leading that charge. I don't think there is. I think they're just as gutless and spineless on the whole as the board are and everybody else. The only good thing about this club at the moment, the only thing to make you proud, to quote a former manager, is the fans. It is those fans. But eventually that will go as well. That will go. That's eroding away. But Rick, we are going to have another 9 games of this. You've got another 9 shows of having to do this, of baffling tactics, of baffling selections, of baffling substitutions. It's going to be horrendous, but we will come together and discuss it, because there's some, like, as you say, there's 1,800 people listening now, and you look in the comments.
Bless every one of them.
In the comments, like, this is therapy. I need this. I want you.
I'm glad you feel better. I fucking don't.
This is the only reason we do it, Rick, isn't it, Jace? If Rick said we're going to have last word on Carry On films tonight, and we're going to discuss your favourite Carry On film, it wouldn't bother me, because I like coming together with you guys and the people in the comments.
I agree.
It's not about Tottenham anymore. It's about just everybody coming together. But it should be about Tottenham. It should be.
I really feel for those supporters, because
the game
gets moved from a weekend to a Monday night. They went up to Sheffield. They went out to Milan. And, they've been to Leicester, seen us take the lead and fold. They were at Southampton, seen us take the lead and fold. They go to Wolves, see us fold. And, those supporters. And, a good friend of mine, Gary, he flies down from Edinburgh, every single game. He'll go to work in the morning. He'll get an overnight sleeper back up there, or he'll get the very first flight at 5 o'clock in the morning, having stayed in an Airbnb or something, and he'll be at work at 7:30 in the morning. And the money that he must spend coming down from Edinburgh, and I'm sure many away fans
thousands
travel ridiculous distances, and it's going to take 3.5 hours at least to drive down to the motorway back to London, 4 hours or something. They deserve so much, and the money that they spend following Chrissy Cowlings and people like that. I dread to think of the money they spend for that.
Weekend before last, Rick, I was in Ireland. I'd done a night in Limavady and I'd done a night in Dublin. Season ticket holders there, come over, plane over, go to the game. And then it's an absolute dash, a proper dash back to London City Airport or back to Stansted to get that last plane back by the skin of their teeth. And the money, and people
often have to miss the last 10 minutes or something as well.
Exactly. The wife said about going to a family gathering, a birthday thing, but I didn't go. She's not talking to me now because I've got a season ticket and I've gone to Spurs for the day. These are the real life sacrifices people are being making for this. For this, I'd love to take some of these players and these board members out to meet some of these people, like Jason's mate in Edinburgh, or some of the boys and girls over in Dublin and Ireland and all over the place. The sacrifices they make to see what they come to watch and to see their club run like this. It's abhorrent. It's absolutely abhorrent what they're doing now to these people that sacrifice so much.
Yeah,
I'm having to sacrifice a 2-week holiday to Thailand to watch them in a friendly.
Oh, do you know what? Can I ask you, Dow? You know, Stellini before the game was asked, around us there's lots of speculation. The club is here. The fans are with us. The stadium is there. The football, we will play again. So all speculation is only speculation. We have to only be worried about the game. We have to play the way we want to play the game. The more you try to punch us, the more we are tight. We stick together and more we react. This has to be clear for you guys. And for the people who try to punch us, because with the speculation, you can only create the energy on us. This has to be clear. This was before this game, I must add. But when I read that, it's just, oh, good. 9 more of the games of this.
And then they get that. And then you get that tonight. And you get that tonight.
It's a joke.
Torture,
It's
isn't
a
it? It is
Oh.
torture.
But also, it doesn't make any sense. It's like, from an acting perspective, I'm like, that script is appalling. Like, get a new writer in, it makes no sense. No one understands what you're trying to say. What is the message you're projecting? Who are you trying to fool here? If you put that on screen, I'm not buying it. I'm not believing this. And Spurs fans, we're not buying into this anymore.
No.
We can see right through it. It's ridiculous. All of these quotes to try, these motivational speeches. Who is he trying to motivate? Because as Jace and Cracks have just highlighted, the fan base doesn't need any motivation. The fact that it's Tottenham, we're motivated. We're there. That's the given. You got to do a team talk. You got to get the training ground better. You've got to work on that. That's where we need your energy. That's where we want to see the change. But as we all know, for the next 9 games, it ain't changing because the board don't want it to, and he can't change it because this is what he does. He's been doing this under Conte for his career, and he's going to continue doing it. That's it. And we've got to like it or lump it to the end of the season. And then we have to hope and pray across everything that there's a vision from our board to employ one of these managers that are available, or we go and take somebody that they really want, because that's what they should be doing. That's where the focus should all be now. Getting the right manager, understanding what the system is from top to bottom that we as a team, as a structure, as a business want. Let's get the football business model right. Cracks is right. We've got an entertainment board. We should have a football board. We should really start knuckling down on what we want to do with our football team, because that right now is suffering. And on the pitch, we said, the performance-wise, we're not getting anything more from them because there's no leaders there. None of them are leaders. Today, when you play relegation battling sides or teams that are going for something, you can spot their leaders instantly. You watch when the fans push and the fan voices come. You watch individuals' chests grow. You watch them pushing players on. You watch them calling for the ball. We have nobody like that currently in our team. And anyone prove me wrong. Name someone. Yeah. Because no one in our team puts their hand up and wants the ball, leads the team, drags it forward. We don't have it. We have it when we're doing well. When we're doing well, everyone wants it. But when we're not, that's when you really find out your leaders. Yeah. Leaders lead in the trenches. When the mud's hitting, when the rain's hard, when the pressure's on, that's when you see a leader. Not when it's all glory and you want to be front and centre because it looks good. We've got a lot of those in our squad, which is evident. And that's why I think, Crack, you said it earlier, whoever the new gaffer is, if they say, I want them out, whoever it is, if they say they want them out, they have to go. No argument, no questioning, no debate about it. I said, I don't want him. If you back me and we've got a vision, for the vision that you want, I don't want them. Get them out. Simple as that. It's our ethos that needs to change. But boys, hold on to your hats. It's going to be a bumpy one.
You know, it's very telling. I know this was a few years back now, the Amazon documentary where Jose and Danny Rose had that falling out, and Danny very pointedly said, well, I'm going to go see Daniel then. And I think that tells you everything about that club, that the players feel they can go above the manager and go and see the chairman.
They all know who's running it.
Because that is the way the club is run. In a normal football club, as you said, Dal, the manager has the final say. The manager leads by example. Could you imagine a situation with Sir Alex Ferguson at Manchester United where a player turns around to Fergie and says, all right then, I'm going to go see the chairman? Fergie threw a boot at Beckham for less. He would have tortured a player for that. I just.
But you know what,
don't
Rick?
know.
It doesn't even need to come to that. You just have a manager whereby if a player comes in and says, well, I'm not happy with that, I'm going to see the chairman. When he knocks on the chairman's door and says, the manager, and then the chairman's got to turn around and go, yeah, well, the manager's right. Get out of my office. Go away. Get out. Like, if you don't like it, put in your transfer request. You've got to back your manager 1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. You have to be running off the same hymn sheet. You've got to. Simple as that. But the fact that he could have gone now to the chairman in the hope of circumnavigating the manager's word, that's the tail wagging the dog. That's the lunatic asylum. That can't be right. Don't care who you are. Even Harry Kane. If Harry Kane has a falling out with a manager and says, I'm going to see the chairman, then fine, go and see the chairman. If the chairman don't back you, then the manager should walk out. Simple as that.
Can I just ask, just on Harry Kane, because I don't want to go completely off script. We are going to look, for the sake of our audience, to close this very, very shortly. Kane, Jace, coming around to you. Number 22 of the season. Where would we be about Harry Kane's goals? But I tell you what, we'd probably be mid-table and below that. 16 goals in 17 against Everton. He's now been directly involved in 250 Premier League goals, 311 games, 205 goals, 45 assists. Only 5 players in the competition to have scored more than him. I mean, look, Kane, some may have said that's a pressure penalty. He did his job, to be fair, to some degree. I know you said Jesse Mann milked that, obviously, incident to get us to get the red card for Decore. To me, it was a straight red regardless, but... Kane done his job on the night. I mean, anything... Let's ask you a question now. When Kane's seeing this situation around him, do you think he's probably had enough? Would you think he'd be looking around thinking, what's the point of me staying here?
I think he's probably had enough, but I don't think our chairman's had enough of him. And therefore, he won't be going in the summer. I'm 100% convinced he'll be kicking a ball with us next season. So, and that's part of the long-term problem, because you see him tonight strolling around in the centre circle when Everton have the ball, people walking past him into midfield. It's nothing, and I'm not blaming tonight just on him, but if a new manager says, I want high press, we're going to have to go after teams, really high press, and he can't do it, then, and he says to Daniel Levy, I think we're better to take under $1 million for him, Daniel Levy's going to say, no, he's not leaving on principle. So your new manager's toast straight away, isn't he? And we know that Kane is more important than the new manager. We know he is, because Daniel's not going to sell his season ticket, is he? He can't afford to lose Kane before those season tickets are sold. So, he will not allow a manager to sell him. He won't do it.
Can I ask you, Dale, come over to you, and I'll come to Cracks on this next before we look to close it. Do you, Dale, think Kane will have any say on who the next manager will be at Tottenham? Do you think he'll have any influential involvement?
I hope he doesn't, because if he does, that's a disgusting setup. And I think that's just crazy that you take a footballer who isn't even your captain, because Lloris is captain, you elevate him to go, you're our key asset. So I need to bring him and go, are you happy with our managerial choice? Oh, yes, I am. Okay, we'll do that. I hope that is not the setup. And I totally agree with Jace that it should be a case of that if he doesn't fit in like any player, he has to leave. However, I totally agree. Kane he's not going to be prioritising a move for himself right now. He's expecting baby number 4. If you look at his options, I don't feel that he's going to want to uproot his family now with his wife being heavily pregnant and go abroad. Not an option. So you look at Premier League, there's not many places for him where he's going to want to go. He's a London boy. His family's all here. He's not going to want to be in Manchester. So right now, what's playing in Spurs' hands is all of that around his life. That mean that he's not going to knock on the door and ask for a transfer. But I agree, as everyone said already, if the board was to say we wanted him out because the manager doesn't want him, then we've got a whole different story on our hands. But it's a lot of factors that are playing against and towards us right now. The fact that he's expecting his new one is stopping him from wanting to leave. But does that mean that he won't leave if they were wanting him to go? And there's so much unrest at this club, and there's so much choices that are not being clear to me. I don't know what the vision is. So to answer that question, I hope that there is no way Levy or anyone at ENIC is calling Kane in to help pick a manager. That will drive me mad.
And yeah, all I was saying, I mean, in a positive to him, every single important moment in the game for us was from him. I don't necessarily think he had a great game, but he got the player sent off. He took the penalty. He had one shot kicked off the line. And he had the only other time we looked like scoring was when the cross from Perisic and his header went wide. He should have hit the target. But there was no threat from any other player at any other stage.
And
no
just on the game,
whatsoever.
Jace, just to go back on that, people are going to be obviously going crazy about Kane overacting and that. And I think people just need to accept that football, this is now part of the game. And it's not Kane, it's everybody. And I think what happens is it will be unfair press tomorrow attacking Kane about that. And I don't think it should be the case because every club has got at least 3 players that do it. Every young boy in football is watching it. It's now embedded in our game. And the only way it changes is if there's a rule change that puts in penalties and stuff to get players for doing that. For the simulation, for overreacting, that there'll be a punishment to them. If that's not going to happen, it's going to be embedded in our game. And Kane is right to do it because guess what? He's a modern day footballer who is learning his trade and doing what he does.
You have to do it to get the decision in your favour. And there was one Saturday, changing the subject fractionally, I suppose. There was one Saturday, the Saka penalty against Leeds, where Saka went down. But Ayling still kicked him on the knee. It was still a blatant penalty, and we're all getting annoyed that Saka's gone to the floor and bought a decision, but he's still being kicked in the knee. But if he doesn't go down, the referee won't give it, will he? So until referees start making decisions, unless players hit the floor, you will have players hitting the floor of all clubs. Yep. And I don't have a go at Saka for doing it, and I don't have a go at Kane for doing it. But he milked the situation. But the fact is, you can't blame him for milking it. The fault of the situation is a bloke throwing an arm. That's totally the person you have to look at.
Yeah. Can I ask you, Cracks, before we just close it on Paratici? We have that slight update we just need to cover. Cracks, for you.
How many years did he get?
Honestly, that's a future show, isn't it?
Is that the update?
Well, it might be. It might be. Honestly, Cracks, on the Kane situation now, I joked and said we'd be mid-table without his goals. I generally think we would be mid-table without his goals. How much does he have a say in who comes in, if anything? And for you personally, can whoever that next manager be even consider and persuade Kane to stay at the club, given the way we find ourselves right now?
I think maybe the chairman would take counsel from some of the senior players and speak to them and get their thoughts on it. Whether that would have any bearing or not, I don't know. But I think a chairman would probably speak to somebody like Harry Kane. And I don't know, Harry is a little bit more than a footballer, isn't he? There just seems to be quite a wise football man now as well. So I don't know, maybe speaking to Harry just man to man and a long-term employee and a star player, because there's a sensible man in there. So maybe the chairman does speak to him and gets his thoughts on who the next man would be and what he would like to see. I think that Kane may stay, but that might actually be because of the circus that goes on around the peripheries of the club. He seems to have such a love for NFL that I could see him actually wanting to be involved when he stops playing football and go into NFL. Now, the only team in England, in the UK, that will have an NFL franchise is Tottenham, because it's not long before we get the London Jaguars or somebody. We've not built that stadium with that roll-in, roll-out pitch and NFL dressing rooms to have a couple of games a season. Now, that's just not happened. It's something that will come eventually, and part of that will probably be poster boys. Harry's a squeaky clean lad. American football, American heroes, you have to be squeaky clean, absolutely squeaky clean. He's ideal. he'd be ideal to transition from football into NFL as a kicker. So maybe he might look to finish his career at Tottenham and then transition into the NFL side of things and become the kicker for the London NFL Chickens or whatever, or, the London Roosters or the London Jaguars or whatever they're going to call themselves. So it's what I'm saying. The circus around the club at the moment, with everything that goes on away from football, may just keep him there. Darren's right. He is a London boy. That, moving overseas. But you know what? These players are so well looked after when they move. Even though he's got a new baby, he's not going to be packing boxes he's China in bubble wrap, is he? Him and his missus and kids are just going to get on with everyday life. And one day they'll wake up in their old house and they'll jump on a private jet and they'll just walk into their new house with everything unpacked for them. It's going to be no problem for them to move anywhere. That's how this works. If he goes abroad, it's not going to be like me and my missus with tape measures mapping out how much we can get into a sea container. It's all just going to be done for them.
Can I just say, the comment on the screen is spot on. Unreal how we've got on here. What is this football club doing to us? I'll tell you what, the chickens are certainly coming to roost, Cracks, aren't they? What?
They really are.
He wants that,
really are.
Premier League record. That's the last one to set. He wants that Premier League record, so he's not going to go abroad.
Yeah.
But I don't think it matters where he wants to go. He will not be sold in the summer.
No.
Daniel Levy just will not sell him. So it's move on.
Just the final Stellini comment from the press conference. That
has he said more?
He has, yeah. Just on the red cards. Both red cards. They are red cards.
Stop talking, Stellini. Stop talking. Just shut up.
The tackle of Lucas was dangerous and the hand was clearly on the face of Harry. I was right next to it. Lucas was disappointed. Sometimes this type of tackle, you don't want to be dangerous. Tell you what. Oh, the more he talks, we've got 9 more. I never thought I'd want it. I never thought I'd want it. I never thought I'd want to hear a man less than contact, and we've got this for 9 more games.
Just quickly, that punching people quote that was before tonight's game. Was he saying that if we'll take punches and we'll absorb them we'll take power from them?
Siege mentality.
He's been watching Black Panther too much, hasn't he? Have you seen the film Black Panther where she creates that suit? And when he gets hit, it absorbs the power and he pushes it back. He's been watching Black Panther on Disney Plus, isn't he? Before, and he's taken some inspiration from that. And he thinks he's got Black Panther suit on now, doesn't he? That's what it is. I'll take punches and I'll absorb them, and you'll get them back twice. How about that?
This club. Look, what we are going to do, we are going to go for our final break of the show. For our listeners on audio, for our watching audience here, we've still got over 1,400 of you, loyal, wonderful, amazing viewers to Last Word on Spurs. Thank you so much for all of your incredible support. And for the thousands that download this for their morning commute, bless all of you, because I don't know how you do it. But we're joined by the wonderful Richard Cracknell, the superb Jace McGovern, and British actor's very own, the wonderful Darren Hartman, who are giving you some therapy as we try and reflect on Spurs. We're going to close it on. We're going to close it on Fabio Paratici. Before we do, just a reminder that we are delighted to be sponsored by NordVPN. Look, this is a good opportunity to tell you that watching sports, events, TV shows, films which aren't available in your region, you can change your virtual location settings. You can even get away from watching Tottenham in your life by doing that. Of course, also, great opportunity now to take a trip away from Tottenham, purchasing flights. You can save your money by purchasing subscriptions for all cheaper prices with NordVPN. So please make sure you go and check that out. You can now get 4 additional months for free with NordVPN's plan. It is completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day back money guarantee. Nord won't let you down. They won't let you down, unlike Tottenham. Right, we're going to close it on Fabio Paratici only because we didn't cover this off during our last show. So Spurs announced at the back end of last week that Paratici will take a leave of absence in the wake of his footballing ban being extended to worldwide by FIFA. Quite honestly, I don't know where this show goes at times. The director obviously has been handed a 30-match ban from the IFA in relation to investigation into Juventus' accounts from his time working there. We have to make the point that obviously at the moment, he protests his innocence. And we have to say, obviously, everyone is innocent until proven guilty. But given the situation, Jace, very quickly on Paratici, there was really no choice, was there? I mean, he had to take an absence because how can we carry on ignoring the elephant in the room? Just very quickly to close, just how are we even in this situation where he's still an employee of Tottenham? Can you work that out why we are burying our head in the sand and very much standing by him throughout this? So he may very well prove to be innocent, but the more that we get into this, it's worse and worse, isn't it?
I suppose that's the thing that, you know, if you sack him, does it have a knock-on effect of prejudice for court? And there'll be legal reasons they didn't do it. I just felt that from the moment he was incapable of doing his own job, albeit for a period of time, then he should have, you know, walked away straight away from the thing and said, look, we need to come to an arrangement. And it should have been done that next morning, that you step aside from the role and get on with it. Get on with it that way. So the fact that he seemed to be clinging on for a job for a couple of days just adds to everything else, mate. Absolutely adds to everything else. The mess.
You know, I never.
When's the Brighton preview?
That's Wednesday. You're not on that one.
All right. We're losing 3-1 or 2-0. I'll give you it now.
All right. I wasn't even going to do Brighton predictions, but now you've started that off. I'm not going to put you through that, surely. Cracks, I tell you what, some people are just trying to get over your analogies. They're absolutely loving them and enjoying them. Got to try and find something to laugh at these times with Tottenham. We really, really do. Cracks, give me your verdict on this with Paratici, how we're still in this situation. He's still an employee of the football club. We know at the moment he can't work as he would have usually done. There's obviously a 10-day appeal window within there, but quite clearly Spurs are in a situation now where they obviously want to close that door for now. He's been given an immediate leave of absence away from the football club. Where does this story go next, Cracks, if there is more to this, which I'm sure there is, it's Tottenham?
He can't get involved in transfers, so let's find him something else to do. Can't we get him filling those from the bottom up beers or something, or cooking the pizzas on the touchline bar?
That's probably his appeal, though, now to Daniel Levy, isn't he? You can't be involved in transfers. That's perfect for Daniel.
Exactly. Keep him as director of football. Lovely. That'll do.
Daniel's running around the room cheering, I'm back on transfers.
He had this sword of Damocles hanging over him when we took him on. I mean, come on. Yeah. This was already, and Stellini as well, both of them. This is
the thing, isn't it? The lack of due diligence done by the club, given that Stellini actually has been banned previously for match fixing. And now, you're right. Paratici was actually under investigation to some degree for this, and we overlooked it.
Rick, if you go on holiday and you advertise for a house sitter, if somebody turns up in a black and white striped jumper with a little black mask across their eyes and a bag that says swag on it and says, hello, I've come to apply for the job of house sitter whilst you go on holiday, would alarm bells not be ringing with you, Rick? Would you go, I'll get back to you. Thanks. Just leave your CV on the table there. Don't touch that vase. That's like, no, leave that there. You don't need to take that. You know, he's took somebody on that had this sword hanging over him. Okay, took a chance and it hasn't worked out. There's legal positions at the moment that you can't just sack him. But do you know what? They couldn't even get him to fall on his sword. Just say, look, okay, we know you're in a little bit. There's a situation now. You need to be, or the club needs to be away from you. You possibly going to be going away from the club and, you know, society for a while. You're going to have to fall on your sword. We'll pay you off. You come out and say, given what's going on, the right thing for me to do is to quit. No, leave of absence. What purgatory yet again? Indecisive purgatory, like the football, like the board, like the manager, like everything. It's just a reflection of everything that goes on at this club. Leave of absence. The board's taken leave of absence. The players have taken a leave of absence. The only thing not taking a leave of absence is us. Leave of absence. That's what we are at the moment, a whole club. Leave of absence.
The one positive is if he goes to prison, he might find our new manager, you know, the bloke from Zagreb that knocked us out. He beat us 3-0 from a prison cell. So he'll come back and say, Daniel, I found you.
That gives a whole new meaning to the Italian job, doesn't it? It really is. It's the Italian job, isn't it?
He's got a track record of winning games from prison.
A job being done from the inside of prison, just like the Italian job, isn't it? Yeah. Perhaps those new go-karts under the stadium are going to be red, white and blue minis running round with Michael Caine in them.
They've even worked the tactic out of winning games with absolutely no defence, sending them down. I mean, they're perfect for Tottenham, really, isn't it?
Oh, mental.
When you've got Eric Dyer and Sanchez in charge of your defence and you get sent to prison, we still win games 3-0 from prison. It's perfect. What's the odds on that bloke? A penny power or something? I'm having a flutter on him. I'll get 250 to 1 surely on him.
I just honestly have got no more words where this goes. Dow, can you believe it's got to this point with Paratici? Are you surprised that they have continued to back the man? I mean, look, he has now been given a leave of absence. I'll make it easy for you, Dow. Do you think he'll be back at Tottenham at some point, or do you think he's done?
I think he will be done, but I think it's all about the finances. They don't want to sack him because they don't want to pay him off, and they would have liked him to walk, but he's not going to do that. Of course, he's not. And the boys said because of the financial repercussions and also the legal ramifications of it all, no one's acting and we're all sitting on our hands. It's just a shambles. It's an absolute shambles. And you know what? If we don't laugh, we would be crying right now. So we have to laugh. We have to laugh. If you wrote this, you wouldn't believe it. It's carnage.
I can't believe I'm even asking the question who do you want as the next director of football, as long as the manager and the women's manager and the... I mean, King Arnold puts it on the screen here, breaking news, Al Capone is our new director of football.
I want Noel Coward to, like...
We got enough cowards in the team.
Noel Coward from his prison cell in the Italian job as the new director of football.
Papillon.
There we go.
It started off as therapy. I think it might be torture a couple of years if we don't finish off and we'll kill ourselves here. Right, guys, thank you so much. Do you know what? You saw I even glossed over the equaliser because I didn't want to put you through the terrible nature of. You probably forgot about that. Yeah, we did concede late in that game. Final question
scored.
Final question to you. Final question to you all. I'm not going to ask you about Brighton. It's far too early for that. Jason, Christian Stellini here to the end of the season, yes or no?
What, do I want him or do I think he will be?
Both.
Don't care. I'm beyond caring, mate. I don't care. I just want the season over. I want to go to Bangkok on holiday.
Will he be here when we've still got to go Newcastle away? We've got to go Liverpool away, Villa away. Is he still going to be in the dugout come the end of that?
The only reason he won't be is if they give a permanent job to somebody else.
Okay. And what?
So otherwise, I mean, what are they going to do? Sack him and sack Mason, and who's going to do it for 3 games?
Well, from only what I've heard, Mason is due to go on
Toure or something. I mean,
Mason. Apparently, from what I've heard, Mason is due to go on paternity leave soon, which is maybe one of the reasons why I didn't get the job full time.
So, well, there you go. Then go get that bloke from the prison cell in Zagreb. Even more reason.
Oh man. Okay, Cracks, over to you. Were you Stellini here to the end of the season, still on the back of that display tonight?
Yeah, of course, it's going to happen. I don't want him to be, but he's going to be, isn't it? I want the man from Murphy to rock up tomorrow morning. I want Maurizio Pochettino in there. That's who I want. I know it's not everybody's choice, but that's my choice. I want him back. It's the scratch we need to itch. Or maybe Charles Bronson can have another appeal. He lost his appeal this week. Maybe he can win his appeal and come out and run this. Can't be any worse, can it? Honestly. Why don't we put a fan in charge? There are 9 games, and we just get a fan out of the stands and we put them in the dugout.
I mean, Danjuma's signed for the club. He can't even on loan. He can't even get a game, and now we're even sitting a fan taking charge. It feels like it's Sherwood all over again. It really does feel like it's Sherwood all over again. Dow, let's close it with you. Christian Stellini, when you're back here before the end of the season, will he still be the acting? He's acting, really, isn't he? The acting interim head coach down at the end of the season?
100%. He's going nowhere. He could lose all 9 games and he will not be doing. There's no, his job is super safe because the board have no direction of what they want and what they're doing, and they're going to keep him there for as long as possible. He may even still be there for pre-season at this rate, Rick. You never know.
Don't. Well, can I just thank the wonderful Richard Cracknell, the superb Jason McGovern, the brilliant Darren Hartman here. Guys, we've had over 1,800 of you watching us live tonight. For the sake of all of you, we are going to let you go. We are going to be back with you later in the week to look ahead to Brighton. I'm not going to put these guys through even giving me a prediction for that one. Anthony Costa as manager. Well, listen, strange things have happened in this football club. Hold on to your hats. Who knows what's going to come? Those will be interesting half-time team talks, wouldn't they? He'll be calling us at the same time as battering the players. From Richard Cracknell, from Jason McGovern, from Darren Hartman. Guys, have been the last word on Spurs. Please keep safe, keep well. Do not let this football club break us. Jason, you got a parting message?
Yeah, I just want to say the weekend, it will be better, I promise you. Because you can tune in and watch Amen Corner with all those lovely azaleas at Augusta and the green jackets up for display. Rory, Scotty Scheffler, John Rahm against the Live boys. Brilliant weekend of golf in store, mate. Forget what's happening at Tottenham. Get those eyes, US Masters, Augusta, Tournament of the Year. Just enjoy a nice glass of wine or just watch the drama of the back nine on Sunday.
Rick, I'm back on Saturday night, and
you are
after
mate.
Brighton. I'm off to the gym tomorrow morning. I'll go some pictures taken of me working out in the gym, and I want last word on Spurs to tweet back at it, ready for Saturday night.
I'll do the same.
Gym, hard at work for Saturday night. Back Saturday night. So I'll see you then. More
build up, we're all doing it.
Can I just say, listen, again, even our poor contributors that put us themselves through this nearly at midnight, they have been stars this season, as have you wonderful viewers and listeners that continue to stand by us here as we try and just reflect on what's happening to this basket case of a club. We are going to love and leave you. From Richard Cracknell, from Jason McGovern, from the brilliant Darren Hartman, we've been the last word on Spurs. We'll see you soon. And as always, come on you Spurs.